Hey there, kids. It's me, Oni the Unicorn. And I'm here to tell you that f***ing your dreams ain't cheap. In fact, it costs a ton of cash to do. So that's why me and the Oh No Radio Show need your help. Just go to the website displayed below and hit us up with some cash, yo. $1, $5, $1 million if you have it to spare. Any amount is appreciated. Well, I gotta go because these dreams ain't gonna fuck themselves. See ya!
Oh my God, what's gonna happen? Oh my God, we have a new champion! Welcome back to another edition of the Ono Wrestling Podcast. This is episode 191. We're coming up on 200, bro. We probably need to do something special for that, huh?
Yeah, I'm thinking go to London.
Maybe that's what we do. I gotta still confirm this. The wife's actually really fine with it. She's all right with it. It's more like the job and the money that I gotta kind of confirm with.
They picked the worst time of year for flights. I've looked at them.
Yeah, they did, and hotels are gonna be a bitch. But we'll talk about that in just a little bit, as I think it will be one of the primary talking points of the show. Either way, my name is Owen. I am your Shark Break Kid, and along with me is my buddy Matthew, the modern day Maharaja, here to talk a little bit about this week's wrestling, what's going on, and maybe even wildly speculate on the future of both AEW and the WWE. But Matthew, first off, you doing all right? You doing all right, buddy?
Doing good, brother. How are you doing?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. You know, got over that sickness more or less. I'm still I'm rocking around that 95% mark, but you know.
All right. Well, that's pretty good. You're gearing up to go overseas. You're heading across the pond, way across the pond.
I don't think I've as far as health goes, ever since I've been turned 18, 19. I don't think I've ever been higher than like a 98 or 97.6%, somewhere around there. So yeah, I feel like a 95. I'm doing all right. I can make it that. I can make that work. I can rock with that.
Do you think any human is peak 100?
No, I mean maybe Joe Rogan. He is definitely peak 100. But you know, obviously.
I mean, yeah.
And Vince McMahon clearly,
that's it. You got to stop letting people sneeze around you. That's the thing. That's the big thing.
He was the original mask guy for COVID and stuff. Like, he was the original guy. He's just like, no sneezing. No.
He's like, listen, I'm not even going to do the mask. You can't sneeze around me. You can't breathe heavily around me. No mouth breathers. You know, he probably laid down a bunch of rules like that. He did the mask without the mask.
And you know what? I feel like he's a trendsetter. I mean, God damn it. Let's not talk so nice about Vince McMahon because he has so many evil things about him. And let's even get to Vince a little bit later. What we should probably talk about, though, is kind of the developments within AEW. We've been really, because it's been WrestleMania weekend, let's be honest, like we've been really WWE heavy over the last couple of weeks. It's nice to maybe take a step to the other side. Let's take a look at what's really going on with AEW. And
can I ask you this before we jump into it?
Yeah.
Because I know we're about to get into a big thing. But You remember you asked me a couple of podcasts ago, it was leading into WrestleMania. It was our go home episode of the podcast, right? Leading into WrestleMania. You said, how do you feel? Are you feeling, electrified, vibrant? Are you
Sure.
excited? Are you
Yes,
not?
I remember asking that question.
And
I was asking just about the state of the wrestling industry with what we were looking at for this wrestling weekend, right?
yes, exactly. Just a quick check in. How are you feeling today?
Not as great. Just gonna go ahead
Cool.
and say that.
Cool.
It's
All
it's
right.
it's
We're on
been
the same page then.
it's been pulled back, and this is not just because Cody lost at WrestleMania. This is not even what I'm talking about.
Across the board.
It's not even that Vince McMahon is in charge back in of creative, because he is. Let's just go ahead and say it. Unofficially, officially, unofficially, if you want to say that, right? It's not even because of the sale to Endeavor. It's because I'm not super stoked on a lot of the storylines that are going on coming out of the WrestleMania season. Now I know AEW is a different thing, and we should start there.
We should.
But they are
what
as
you're getting
guilty
into right now.
They are as guilty, if not more guilty, and should have taken. I think we even talked about this. How they should have taken advantage of making some badass dynamites, kicking ass with some cool stories to move their product forward into the future. I'm not convinced that they have done that. And in fact, I'm not super stoked on a lot of the builds and a lot of what is going on currently with the major programs in AEW. There are some good things. There's definitely things to look forward to and things that they can build upon. But as a whole, the direction of AEW feels back where it was when we said it was a little bit lost towards the end of last year before it got good again. It feels like we're back in this weird slump. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. It's definitely a weird slump, and I don't think like who was it, Nick or Matt, who got injured?
It was Matt that got injured.
Matt,
it's
it was torn
a
bicep.
torn bicep.
Yeah, and he's chosen not to go under the knife and not get surgery. I'm not sure what that means.
It means that is
that a quicker recovery?
It is a quicker recovery.
But it's a less
good
recovery.
Okay, so
less good.
From what
the recovery is not as
from what I have ascertained through other people and Twitters and all this sort of stuff, it means that it would be more likely to get injured again in the future. It's that this is like, it is kind of, it's not necessarily a Band-Aid on a problem, but it's something that will, the fix will snap again, probably. Like it's
that would make sense. I'm not a doctor. I know nothing about it, but like if you rip something off of your bone, a muscle off of your bone, and you let it heal naturally, seems like it's going to take longer for it to heal, as if it were, rather than if it were reattached and allowed to like fuse back,
well, the fusing is what takes the time. So the healing naturally is what makes it heal quicker, rather than having like it completely separated and reattached to heal and the fusing. So that's why it would take longer with the surgery than it would necessarily just to kind of like do physical rehab to put it back in shape. His goal is to obviously be ready for the next pay-per-view. Like that's what he's trying to do, which is a doable goal, especially when you're maybe wrestling in either a trios or a, tag team match, and you can rely on other people and maybe get away with just doing a couple of spots to protect that arm a bit, like not go as crazy.
Yeah.
It feels like,
we saw Cody do it with a torn pec.
Exactly.
It can be done. It's a different situation, different wrestler, different individual altogether.
And I don't think
I wouldn't put it past him to be able to do some good things, and it's not the way Cody's looked.
It's definitely, it doesn't seem as intense of an injury. And, who am I? I'm not an athlete. I'm not a wrestler. I don't know. I'm sure it's a pretty painful, rough injury, but it's not Cody Peck injury.
I'll tell you, dude, I might be a little bitch, probably am, but on April 6th last year's WrestleMania, that first night, I woke up on that Sunday morning And dude, I'd torn my meniscus in 2 places in my right knee. And that's like the easiest of all knee injuries to do. I still had to go undergo surgery, and they tried to stitch some of the cartilage, which is a little harder than like what they do for like just a regular, just like cut the cartilage out. But it's like the hangnail of your knee, and even that sucked, dude. So I can't imagine what these dudes go through.
Dude,
And
like a
like,
bicep, like imagine like, just going to go pick up a milk jug or something silly, like, and you forget, right? Like oh,
dude,
no,
I was out
that
on the
muscle
couch
doesn't
laying
work.
there, like trying to straighten and then bend, and it was like sharp shooting fucking pain. So I cannot imagine an
Dude,
arm.
gotta be.
I was hopping around on one foot.
It's got to be rough, but it's also, rough, the storytelling that I feel that they've kind of maneuvered around this with the Young Bucks. And now it seems maybe like we still have not had it 100% confirmed that it was the BCC that took out the Young Bucks. Like it is.
So I think this is the thing, and that's kind of what I was getting at is, so he's out. That did something. I don't think that this is
And then kayfabe,
killed
they
the
took him,
entire
and then
all of the
kayfabe, they got
storylines.
beaten down, but they took him away in an
Exactly.
ambulance, and then we
Yeah.
had Hangman hop
And
in the ambulance and come back in the ambulance, all that sort of stuff, which is cool. That kayfabe stuff and that storyline, I'm not even I don't even have a problem with. I don't have a problem, and I think there is a good story to tell with the BCC versus the Elite, because I think that it can, if it ends up in realigning the Elite to the true Elite, where you've got Kenny and the Hangman that finally can come together and all these sorts of like pieces of the puzzle, then you've got a great story there. It's fantastic. But I'm not a big fan of, we're using the bicep angle, and now we're also not telling you if it was the BCC, even though we've sort of told you with the beatdown of Kenny Omega and the realigning of Danielson. They've never expressly made that make sense. There is an illusion of mystery to who else that could be. And I don't like that AEW is doing that. Just to make it clear. Because if you're allowing me to guess when it's AEW, well, now are we just going to have this new mysterious faction pop out of nowhere? Because it's AEW and that happens all the goddamn time. So, you've got to do something to convince me of why I should be buying more into this BCC versus the Elite thing. It's not that it's a bad story. It's that they're not telling the story well.
Well, it's a bad story right now. And it's a bad story because of the injury, and we are clearly getting the Tony Khan special, which is put everything on hold until the person who's injured comes back, and then I'm going to bring the storyline that I wanted to tell. And I will say this is probably one of my biggest critiques of AEW, is that when somebody gets injured, they don't pivot. They sit in limbo, and they make us as fans sit in limbo, wondering, to all of the points that you like, very specifically, let's say to the Elite Blackpool Combat Club, like that type of thing. Everything you just said, they're just going to put in like the Don Callis thing and everything, hold off on it and not really develop any other direction. I wonder if Tony's fear is if he develops another direction, he's never going to get back to it. Right. But I think that he's still losing because he's done it a bunch of times. And you've said it on this podcast quite a few times, not putting you on blast, but I did write something in my notes thinking, in the lead up to this show was Jade Cargill. And you've mentioned Chris Statlander. She's been gone for fucking, I don't know how long, enough for me to forget about her.
And it seems like they keep holding on to wait to switch the belt.
He's done it before. He does it all the time.
It seems like it's a bad problem that he needs to be able to maybe adjust around, and it's not like he doesn't have the roster to be able to do so. I will say with this particular BCC Elite storyline and one particular debut, why has there not been more of a thread into could it possibly be part of the Jay White debut and the Bullet Club returning or introducing into All Elite Wrestling. Yes, we've had versions of the Bullet Club, and the Elite is a version of the Bullet Club, and the Super Elite, and all sorts of stuff there.
How do you feel about this?
We are now getting a Ricky Starks program with Jay White, it seems, instead of what I think could be better is if there's a reformed Bullet Club and they were the ones that attacked the Young Bucks, and it was Jay White and Juice Robinson, and hell, maybe even throw in the Good Brothers. Let's throw in I mean, Tama Tonga's not in there, but like
Good Brothers are signed to WWE.
Yeah, but you could throw in like some of the Impact guys that are Bullet Club right now, Chris Bay and the Ace Austin. You can get that new Bullet Club scene, and maybe they're the ones that are attacking the Elite, and it's not the BCC, and that can confuse everybody. Even if they were going this direction, right? They have not told us a compelling enough story for us to even think that it could possibly be the Bullet Club. When why wouldn't you at least intimate and get us to kind of try and guess? Whereas now it's just like there is no guessing. It's just that the BCC are dickheads and bullies. Like this is not good storytelling. You could have done something to where you could have at least teased, even if it was the BCC in the end. That's the end goal that you're getting to for Blood and Guts and the 4-on-4 and all that, which we know it's probably what they're doing. Even if you're going to do that, why would you not, with bringing the Bullet Club in, with Jay White and supposedly this huge hire that the WWE was after, that you snatched? What a wasted fucking debut. Because there was no tension, there was no pop, there was nothing really. Like this Jay White thing, just like the first time, is gonna flop hard if the story isn't there. If you tell the story of a Jay White Kenny Omega, if you tell the story from a Bullet Club versus the Elite, now you can do something. No belts need to be involved. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's my rant for a second.
Yeah, I did. So let me ask you, how do you feel about this Bullet Club thing, other than the storytelling wise? Because a couple of weeks ago, you had very clearly said Bullet Club's dead. It's 2023, and now
I stand by it, and that's and that pop, what Juice and fucking Jay White are getting right now is evidence that the Bullet Club is dead.
Well, I think Bullet Club had been dead, but I also think that at least stateside for sure, maybe not in Japan, but regardless, Jay White, you and I have been like, I don't get it.
He's never been alive in the States to be dead. He's never been killed because he's never been alive here.
I don't think he's as big of a deal as the fucking dirt sheets and fucking media outlets want us to believe he is. They don't want us to believe that he is. The American fans, I don't think the majority of the American fans like Jay White as much as everyone else would have us believe.
He's not big enough to be the next Triple H, and he doesn't have the charisma to be the next Shawn Michaels, and he's trying to be a combination of both, and he ain't either.
Yeah.
That's what I would boil it down to.
I'm not excited. I could have cared less if he went to WWE or AEW.
He's gonna have a good couple of matches, and
he'll have some good matches. I'm not gonna put that past him.
But
I'm just saying, me as a fan, I didn't care either way. This was not something I was watching and thinking, this is going to change the landscape of wrestling when he gets stateside and signs to one of these companies.
Let's also talk about Adam Cole right now. A guy that I think he's
a reality TV star now.
Well, he seems like he is, right? He's a reality TV star and Tony Khan's little announcement boy.
And match what did you think of his match when he came back?
Weak?
It was super weak. He got his ass beat and then had like a tiny bit of offense.
Yeah, it was not a great match. It was not.
No.
And
I don't as much as it was hyped up to be.
And I don't expect him to be, it's like I think Tony Khan spent a lot of money on Adam Cole, and he was pretty convinced that Adam Cole was going to be one of his top big dudes, that he was going to build a company around.
He's now going to be his reality TV star because that's a different income stream.
And that's, I mean, eventually I think you're going to get an Adam Cole, Jay White feud. You're going to get some sort of elite Bullet Club thing. I just think you might have, you're 2 years too late. If that would have started when AEW started in the first year of its Dynamite programming, it would have been awesome. I just don't think you can do that now.
I don't think you can do it now.
I think you missed your boat. So I it's not that I don't welcome Jay White to the roster. I think that he will offer stuff. I think that there is places for him. I just don't see him as a top guy, and I really hope that they can figure out a way to utilize him properly.
Yeah, he'll be an upper mid Carter for a while.
Yeah, he
Again,
will be.
We're gonna have great matches from him and everything like that. I just, again, wasn't as stoked. But when you talk about that possible plan as to what Tony may be doing, it begs the question. And this is a big question because we did get the news. And let me know if it's not all right to talk about it right now. You want to touch on it later. But obviously, AEW announced that they will be having a show at Wembley Stadium. Stadium is the second word there.
Stadium, not the arena, of course.
Yeah. And they're going to do it on August 27th, I believe. And it's all in, which I was at.
90,000 seats.
It's all in. It's all in. They're bringing back all in.
There's a lot to unpack about this. There's a lot to unpack.
It's 1 week before All Out. And All In was an extremely, I was there, Bullet Club event. I mean, when you walked into the arena, all of the screens and everything all had Bullet Club logos on them. The entrance was all Bullet Club, everything when you walked in. Do you think with what you just said, even though he may be 2 years too late, he's going to try and do All In and All Out as like a package?
Yes.
And lead one into another?
I think, well...
Like, do I have to buy two $50 pay-per-views?
I don't think they do that. There's no way they're doing that. You know what I think they're going to do? As a real big fuck you, I think they're going to do All In like they did Arthur Ashe. And it's going to be a big, they might even do it for 3 hours. They might convince TNT or TBS to do this for 3 hours on a Saturday. Basically, pay-per-view on TV. That's what I think they're going to do, because you don't put a huge crowd like that and have that spectacle and have no one watch it.
Put it behind a paywall. Yeah.
I don't think that. Well, I think that.
No, and you use it, and you use it to put all out the next weekend
exactly,
in Chicago behind the paywall.
Exactly.
And you get all these eyes on, and people who maybe, and they're like, it's Wembley. What the fuck?
Yeah, they get the spectacle of a WrestleMania that's not WWE, and then you do the following week, you do it as a pay-per-view, and you make your money. I think that's what they're going to do. You know the price that Meltzer quoted that they're being charged for the event? Now, granted, this is not with production and stuff. But the price of the venue.
But I will say this. The Cons have a very good relationship with Wembley Stadium because the Jaguars play there once a year.
Yes, they do. They have a very good relationship.
That said, I don't know the price.
So £400,000 is what's being quoted. That is dirt fucking cheap.
Yeah.
So if they're going to, think about this. Couple, I don't know if it was the last Revolution or a few pay-per-views ago, I want to say it was, Tony Khan was so proud because they announced their first $1 million gate. That's gate. Without pay-per-view money, right? First $1 million gate. And that's probably on a 12,000, 15,000 seat or something like that, an arena, right? And he's getting $1 million gate on that. So we've already, $1 million gate that already covers, you're going to do more than that at Wembley, clearly, right? So you've got that. So you've got the cost of the building covered. Now production, that's another $1 million, let's just say, right? People are worried. What's the deal? Can they fill 90,000 seats? No, they can't fill 90,000 seats. But that's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to get as high as they can. And if they get anything, I've said anything between 30, 40, if you can get 50,000 people in that
Big
90,
deal.
it will be massive. And you can light it right, and you can close sections, and you can make it feel stadium big and huge. 90,000 seaters, those like I want you to know, those very like nosebleeds, no one wants to sit up there, to be honest with you. They're awful seats. So
especially
realistically,
to watch a wrestling match.
Exactly. Maybe a football match, but even still, you're probably watching through binoculars.
Yeah.
So my point is, if you can get if you can get a 50,000 seat or 50,000 people in that arena, which I think they'll be able to do, especially if they do the artificial inflation of the numbers with the concession people and crew and all that, right? Which they'll do.
Yeah. And they'll block off a good portion of the stadium for production and the entrance. You'll gain a little bit of that back on the floor.
Then it will be a success. As of the other day, it was getting close to 30,000 registered pre-sale people. 30,000 individual accounts trying to register tickets for this. Okay?
So let's just say each person bought 2 tickets. You're at 60.
Exactly. So already, even if just one of those pre-sales bought one, you've already made your money back, quite frankly.
I mean, well, yeah.
You've already made money. So anything they do above this, like this whole, again, 90, probably unrealistic, but could they get into the 60, 70 range? I think it's possible in this market. First time doing UK, first time doing Europe. And
you've
it's
got
the
people
hub
from Ireland,
of Europe.
You've got UK, you've got everyone else in Europe. That's just a easy way to get there who doesn't get that alternative. And even being a WWE fan, it's, if you're over there, you're a wrestling fan. You don't get something of this level, right? In very close to you that often. So I think a lot of people are going to go.
So naturally as well, this would be at nighttime their time or early, evening, right, when it starts. So that would be very early for us. So we'd be getting the 1 o'clock-ish pay-per-view, right? Like they're 5 hours. So yeah, maybe 2, 3 o'clock, something like that. We'd get the pay-per-view start. That's an interesting thing, thinking about putting that on TV on a Saturday or Sunday. But this is why I also have the other thought, or it's not necessarily TV, something else gets delivered before that, and this could be a launch of the Warner Brothers HBO combination with their streaming services, and this is their chance to fucking hit Peacock and look at us Sunday at is it a Saturday or Sunday? I know they've announced the date. I don't remember. I would be interested to know that. But either way, Saturday or Sunday at 3 o'clock, this pay-per-view, Wembley Stadium, boom, 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 AEW, All In, all this. There's something to be said with doing it to launch a streaming service as well. That you could,
Yeah, I just feel like you gotta get people in sooner rather than later on that. Because you have to have people sign up. There's gonna be bugs.
I feel like there's got to be a plan for this. There's got to be a bigger plan. I mean,
the fact that All Out's the next weekend is
maybe we've got it backwards. Maybe we've got it backwards. Maybe they do All In as the pay-per-view and they do All Out as a TV thing. That's possible as well.
Because All Out's been their fucking big thing.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't think they're not gonna do that shit.
Oh, I like the fact that they're using the branding All In. I think that it gives us hope that I think we're gonna see a lot. I've heard the term, will it be necessarily AEW canon per se, thrown around. And it will be.
Fucking has to be.
It will be, but it will also include, I think, to do All In correctly, you need to pull in people from New Japan. You need to pull in people from anywhere you kind of can to
So
build a super card like the original All In was, that kind of was, that had Nick Aldis from NWA, that had at the time,
do you do
Rey Mysterio on that card.
Yeah.
Had fucking, guys from New Japan. Had, it was all over the place as far as their contracts and like Ring of Honor and all that. And it's also interesting because I think there has to kind of be a semblance of Ring of Honor in there as well, because Ring of Honor funded the original All In. So I guess you got to kind of like, I could see them throw in that as a pre-show thing or something. I don't know, but
so I could see that, yeah. But a couple things. One, it's a Sunday.
It is a Sunday, which probably helps if you're trying to sell a big pay-per-view.
If Ring of Honor and AEW are two separate things, why do I keep watching Ring of Honor matches on fucking AEW? Like, build AEW people, build Ring of Honor people. Fucking, I don't need to see it breaking into my Dynamites and Rampages, because if that's happening, then that leads me to believe, like, I would get why you would do it, because you're trying to bring eyes to one or the other. But that tells me that your eyes are on AEW and they're still not on Ring of Honor, and you launched a network and put it behind a fucking paywall, which doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah, and then you're throwing some of those people on Dynamite every once in a while, and then why would I, buy the thing?
Buy the thing, because I could watch the better match on the Dynamite than what I'm going to get on the thing. So
if I can see Willow Nightingale on Dynamite, why do I need to pay,
exactly. So I'm kind of pissed
Honor
about that. So when you kind of struck a nerve when you said, maybe they bring some Ring of Honor pay, and I'm like, yeah, no. Like, fuck that. Ring of Honor, you said was its own thing. You've made a big deal about it being its own thing. Make it its own fucking thing.
This all goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the show, and that AEW at the moment seems directionless. It goes back to probably Tony Khan being, spread too thin and having too much to do. It's an amazing announcement. It's two amazing announcements in one show. As much as we shot on Jay White, it is still an amazing get for the company, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's still a
He's
big
just not
deal.
my dude. Yeah.
Not my dude, but it's still a big deal. Big announcement.
He has every opportunity to prove me wrong.
And it's an amazing, a huge, ballsy announcement to say that you're going to run Wembley. And you know what?
Especially the week after WrestleMania.
Exactly.
Like, to drop that is a baller power fucking move.
It's a power move.
We can't deny that.
But there you still gotta focus on what's going on right now. Like, I feel like we're gonna have to turn FTR soon. People are gonna turn on them before
I've already turned on them because you know what?
Because of Dax being Dax on Twitter.
Because I'm fucking tired of him sucking CM Punk's dick all the time.
Yep.
And like putting it on social media. Yep. And also in interviews, he recently floated out what's the dream or what matches for Wembley, and it's like, well, the dream is obviously CM Punk and FTR versus the Elite. Is it? Is that the fucking dream?
Well, what he is saying isn't completely wrong in a sense. There does need to be a huge spectacle, big deal match at Wembley to sell it correctly, right?
So that's what I was going to get into. Do you do because you do have All Out in Chicago, you're going to waste a CM Punk. I don't know why you would do that. You could set it up where he shows up maybe. Like, other than that, do we finally get Bryan versus Daniel Bryanson versus Zack Sabre Jr. that we were and didn't get? Do we get Omega Ospreay?
No, that one, the previous Sabre Jr. and Danielson, that's gonna have to be at Forbidden Door. That feels like that's a Forbidden Door.
But you're talking about bringing New Japan people in and making it a big deal and making it an All Out. You just went on your spiel, and so like if you do that. That match didn't happen, and it was meant to. That's a very technical wrestling match. Omega and Osprey 2.
I think that you can squeeze in Omega Osprey 2 before this, and this becomes Omega Osprey 3. And Omega Osprey 3 is at Wembley, and Osprey wins.
That feels rushed with the story. I think you want 2, 3 is going to be Forbidden Door. Because of the New Japan, because it's directly tied to New Japan.
I just want Osprey.
That's fine.
Someone British has got to win in Wembley. That's gonna have to happen.
Pac's got to have a match.
Yeah, well, if Pac wrestled ever, and if I saw him ever, I'd care, but I don't because I never see him on ever.
We got to think about people who will draw over there.
Right, Pac's not drawing more than Orange Cassidy.
I know, but you talk about Miro a lot, and he's never on TV.
No, and he's not drawing either anymore. But my point is, like, Pac, even though he's from there, his stock and his credit everywhere is going down, including the UK, because he doesn't do anything. Like, and he's constantly losing. It may not be always his fault. Osprey should win in the UK, is my opinion. I think that you should honestly have, if you're going to do that Zack Sabre Jr. match, it would be great with Danielson, and for Zack Sabre Jr. to actually beat him in a technical wrestling match. I think that would be great if you want to do some hometown love and some, home country love and that type of deal. I kind of think that you're not gonna like this, but I think the main event, if it's not FTR Punk versus the Elite, then it's Kenny versus Punk. I think Tony has to have something up his sleeve. If it's not Punk, who is it? Because there's only
Tyson Fury versus
Drew McIntyre.
Drew McIntyre's contract's up. He's signing. He's confirmed.
Tyson Fury and Jake Paul. There we go. We got it.
Yeah,
that's all you gotta do. I mean, they could do something dumb like that, but that would obviously get mad backlash. I do think, I think you can go.
All right, so let me.
If you brought in Okada, right? So you got Okada in, and you did is it gonna have that impact that you want it to? I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
It's not 100%. You're right. So I think this goes back to the overall encompassing where we started. So let me ask you this. From where we started this conversation to where we're talking about right now, we were talking about storylines in AEW.
Yes.
We were talking about them not being great, us being kind of like,
bitter old men about it. They're
right?
mid. Yeah.
So let's review what are the main storylines we have right now
in AEW.
Because I think that will help us
figure things out.
Granted, we do have Double or Nothing that is going to come up in May. August is going to show up before we know it.
All right. Well, let's think about the belts. Let's think about the belts. Let's start there because that's a good way for us to kind of work through it, right? So we got MJF with the men's world title, and he is now in a feud with basically all of the 4 pillars. So we've got a match that's going to happen at the next.
He's one of the 4. So then you got 3. You got Sammy Guevara.
So it'll be a 4-way.
You got Darby Allin, and you got Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy's been going extremely hard at that title, going for it. Darby, I don't know why they kept talking about it, because if Darby is for the kids, as they say, they kept mentioning him getting hit by a car while skateboarding the day before.
Stop getting hit by cars, Darby.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, he's out here, but they brought it up. So I'm like, bring it up once, maybe twice, but you mentioned it throughout the match. If he's for the kids, tell them to put their helmets on. At least say something, right?
I like turtles.
And then you got Sammy. So out of all of those,
no one likes. He was an annoying prick who cut a babyface fucking promo. Tried to cut it. This was the weirdest shit. So Sammy Guevara, who is a heel, they were in Long Island, where MJF is basically God. So MJF, who is a heel as well, is considered a face. So then Sami, even though MJF's a heel, but being, revered by the crowd as a face, Sami tries cutting a face promo on MJF. They're trying their best to turn Sami face.
They're
and
trying.
All of
working.
this, this was just from whoever had this idea. It was like, I don't know what logic you were using, but it's I can't.
It was Tony.
This was weird Tony late night, Adderall logic or something, because
did you watch him during that Wembley thing? I don't think he blinked once.
I wish I had that talent. Like, it's actually
I could see his eyes reading the teleprompter, but I don't think he blinked.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't like to blink. He doesn't do. Oh my God! Look at that. Oops. What? If you're looking on the Twitch right now, my face got frozen in a really good position.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I got my camera. I'll figure it out. I'll get the camera working again. But
I will say I'm not angry at any of this Jungle Boy MJF stuff.
It's okay.
It's entertaining.
It feels like Jungle Boy, right? Is the guy that they're
huge, but it's entertaining.
But Jungle is the guy they're positioning more than the other two as the guy to get the near fall, if you will, on MJF.
This is the reverse. This is the reverse feats of Jericho and MJF. Now MJF has to go through the pillars,
backwards.
And he's going to be the pillar. Because he beat all the pillars.
And that will probably happen. And that, you know what?
And I'm fine with that.
It should happen. It should happen. Because none of them need to be on that level.
I'm okay with that, but does it take a year?
Not yet. Like, Jungle Boy is going to be there in 4 years.
But does it take a year for him to get through the pillars?
No, he's got to.
I agree with what you said about Jungle Boy.
No. That has to happen way quicker. That has to happen within 6 months.
I'm saying 6 months, and that's like a long time for me.
Yeah, no.
Because I want to see someone actually challenge him.
And that's it. And that's what's gonna have to happen. I think Tony's plan is for Adam Cole to be that guy. If you can keep Adam Cole as a face that long and he's that healthy and he can get that, but I think you're gonna miss your boat, because I think Adam Cole's gonna wear out his welcome as this reality star, and there's only so far. I love it, but there's only so far Adam Cole, baby, will get you, right? And
I love Adam Cole,
and I do too. I love him.
He's a great wrestler, but I agree with you. The way that he's been handled since coming back. Granted, it was a scary injury that he went through, and having to go through that to come back. But regardless, he chose to come back. Even if you do it as a babyface, the way they're doing, he's got to wrestle. And he's got to put some grit into it. It's kind of like when I've talked about it in the past, right? In the past year or so with Hangman, right? Before he got that, I was about to use that very name. And he got the grit, and I fucking loved it, right? And he used to have that grit. I picture Adam Cole almost. I'm not saying he is this guy, but I am saying for a while, I could see nuances of fucking Razor Ramon, a little bit of that, he's lost that little bit of that razor's edge. He's now kind of just, I don't know, seems he's a safety razor.
Okay, I can understand that, but I can also see how they might want to move him back up the card again. But then there's also Kenny. If you've got nothing else and you got nothing for MJF,
you got fucking Kenny Omega. Have you heard of this guy?
Yeah. Have you heard of him?
Have you heard of Kenny Omega?
Have you heard of him? Exactly. In case of emergency, when it comes to MJF maybe getting a little stale as the world champion, Kenny Omega's there. That's what you should do. It should not be Moxley the next time. And yes, you do have CM Punk. I hate to say it. I'm now back in the case or camp rather of I do think CM Punk is going to be returning. And I don't think all these big decisions and these big moves are being made without that being almost certainly confirmed.
I don't think it's an F. I think it's a but when.
Yeah.
And I agree. Yeah. And I agree with you. And you and I have talked off air many a times about this. And And you know what I keep coming back to that just makes it make sense? This is a fucking payday for so many people.
So many people.
And it is such an eyes on for AEW. It literally is. If you,
it will break numbers, dude.
it will break numbers, and you don't. And even if everyone says they don't want it to happen,
Wembley,
they're gonna watch it happen.
They're gonna watch it, and they're gonna.
Well, I'm gonna watch it.
Even if you don't like
thoughts
it,
and feelings,
you're gonna fucking watch it, and that's.
And they're gonna do what they want, and
Dude.
it's going to. But I will say that this does lead it leads me to think when I sit there and I like pontificate on it, I'm like, well, I say that, and I'm like, well, why am I somewhat okay with this, even though I'm not a CM Punk fan, right? But when I look at AEW, I treat them a little different because I know they do the same thing time and time again for money and views and things like that. And we get angry, and it is an abusive relationship because we always go running back, right?
Yeah.
And
remember when Cody Rhodes was talking about this, hypothetical wrestling company he wanted to start it and how they would all have health insurance? Remember how that went?
That didn't happen.
But
I will say, yeah, I mean, that does add to the point that I was making.
I'm sorry, I was trying to add to the point you were making.
You did.
Yeah,
no, you actually did. You did. No, it took me a second. I was like, no, you actually did nail it. And so, but I was going to say, I think I text you. I don't even know when it was, but I watched the AEW Rivals on Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar leading into WrestleMania.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet.
So, highly fucking recommend.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's fucking good because we were fans through all of this, and we talked a lot of shit. And granted, WWE's fucking production.
Oh yeah,
is.
I don't know. We talk about this on the show or off air? You told me a little bit about this.
I text you to it.
Yeah,
I think
that's
I
right.
Did. But like their production is so good. But like when I look back at all the things we talked shit on and hated, and we were like, he was shoved down our throats.
But they were actually telling a really good story.
In the context of this rival story and leading into WrestleMania, it all made so much fucking sense. Whether that was the plan or not, or you molded it into a 1 hour, television biopic that I could watch that made me feel.
It was still good.
It made me fucking feel,
it was
dude.
Still good.
And so I would recommend to you, the listeners, anyone, go watch that WWE Rivals on A&E, because what we're talking about with AEW and CM Punk and people being shoved down your throat and showing up when you don't want them to, and those types of things, especially at that level, that high of a level, and us being like, but we do keep coming back for it. And
they must be good to a certain degree for us to even like, as much as we hate CM Punk, we have to admit, like, even though he's lost a step in the ring, and yeah, I'll say that, he's still an entertaining guy on the mic when he shows up, when he's not showing up and doing the same thing every fucking week like he was doing, like he can be an entertaining, animatic, charismatic personality, right? Like he does have that thing, no matter how 100%. Much
that's what's made him.
That's what's made him, and that's what will get us to watch because we're marks and we're wrestling fans.
And I'll talk shit the whole way through, but I'm still watching. And
Don't have to watch it, but I'll watch it. Don't have to like it, but I'll watch it.
So I will. I don't know.
Sorry,
that's a thing, and I will say this. So we got that Jungle Boy. I don't know what's happening because we did see Christian Cage in the Fires of Hell in a promo, bringing back Luchasaurus. I'm excited to see Luchasaurus. I don't know why he has to be with Christian Cage. I kind of wish he was on his own, because I feel like they're going to revisit that, and I don't think that needs to be revisited at all. No. I will say, when we did talk about title pictures and things like that earlier, I briefly mentioned Jade Cargill.
Yes.
Taya Valkyrie is the one who might actually take it. This whole thing with the same finisher leads me to believe, and I know I mentioned it earlier, like, you can't wait for Statlander to fucking come back forever, man.
It depends.
Jade will lose in the end of this, even if she still has the championship and has a winning streak, because she's facing nobodies all the time.
Is Valkyrie signed to the company? Do we know
Yes.
she's
Yes.
100? Is she
I'll
AEW signed?
fact check it. Yes.
If she
I
is,
think it was when she was in Winnipeg. It was.
I think you're I think you're right. I just want to make
I'm
sure.
gonna confirm it. Yes, she is all elite.
All right. So if she is all
March
elite,
15th.
and if they want to build that next person, this is the chance. They're foolish if they don't do it. This is what I'm gonna say.
Yes, and then have Willow take it off her.
Even slow down. Even if this is like a 2-3 week reign for Taya Valkyrie, but she beat her and Jade can win it back, even, right? Like, even that's okay. You just need to because then you can have a Willow beat a Jade and you can show that she's beatable, right? Like, you've got rid of that, like, that streak. You've got, like, it's over now. So she can lose now. You don't have to constantly protect that streak, and you can be we can make her now into a more malleable, relatable human being, because she is. Jade needs to be a face. That's the problem right now. Like, is that she is actually beloved because she's great, and she will thrive as a face, and she will be the next Black woman John Cena. She will be that if you give her the chance as a face, because she can be. Let her do that. Taya Valkyrie right now would be perfect, and a Willow Nightingale versus Taya Valkyrie feud for that TBS title is ideal. Nailed that one with that pick.
Yeah, I was angry when you first said it about Jade winning it back and then Willow taking it from her. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, it gives the rub even more to Willow, which I'm fully behind. So I'm totally for that. But I will say that I think and I'm not a huge Taya Valkyrie fan. She's great. She's okay. I mean,
no, I think she's
nothing...
good. I think she is good. I think that she's. I think it would shut a lot of people up. Your cornet fuckers that basically are like, all the other women are too small. They can't Riho can't realistically beat a Jade Cargill, and to a degree, they're right. But that's why a Willow, that's why a Taya Valkyrie work in this scenario, because I'm sorry, you do kind of need a bigger beefy woman, or somebody that can just crazy overwork the other person to make it like you can even tell a great story.
Well, that's why Taya makes sense, because they have the same finisher and they're going through this whole quote legal
and I like that. I dig that.
That's what makes it.
I think that you can actually tell even a better story of the David and Goliath, in a sense, with a Riho Jade Cargill. And I think that when you have someone with the work rate and as Riho that can fucking go, and you just basically let that leash off I just don't, now you've got her ducking, escaping all of Jade's moves, and it's gonna have to be a very, chopping
like
down
Tom
the
and
tree.
Jerry.
But I think that you can. I've seen those matches, and they can be very, very good. I think that you can tell a great story there, and I think that you can do that with a smaller opponent, Jade. Maybe it's not Riho, but you can do that with somebody. And there's plenty of people on the roster that can do that. But
it just needs to end soon.
Yeah, Jade is
because
still.
She needs to be in the upper, the upper women's, because that's running stagnant again.
Yes,
and
it is.
She needs to be up there because she's been stagnant where she's at, and she deserves to be at that level. Because when she's not promoting or having a match with Taya Valkyrie, or maybe I don't even know who else.
I think they're a little bit. If I'm being honest, I think they're a little bit. I think they're a little bit stuck with exactly what to do with her, because she is still a little bit green. She does need training, but you don't want to send her to do a bunch of dark, right? And you don't want to strip her of the belt, do a bunch of dark, because you want to preserve the aura of her. But then if she doesn't do anything,
and you got to bring some people down from the main event women's roster, one or two, down to say that they can take her out.
It's if you brought back Thunder Rosa, I would welcome a Thunder Rosa Jade Cargill feud. If Thunder Rosa could wrestle, like, I think that would actually kind of work, to be honest with you. I think you could do something with that. We've obviously said Chris Statlander. That's what Tony wants because of their size and their build and how over Statlander was. It might even still happen, but at this point, why wouldn't you just thrust Statlander into the, Jamie Hayter scene? If I was that, I would just do that, like, because that's even stale. Like, what do we got? Like, because we got Paige and we got fucking, those bitches.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They need someone to come up, and Jade can't stay where she's at forever. She's never going to get better if she doesn't wrestle wrestlers that are better than her on live TV. She doesn't do that.
Realistically, booking wise, what you probably should do, and I'm not even like, I'm not even like a super big fan of this, but what you should probably do is have Jade get screwed out of that title by those outcasts. And because that would make sense storyline. Like, Jade's a pretty, homegrown chick and versus the other ones,
That's
right?
what I'm saying. You get some people to trickle down, and then they help her trickle up.
So Rhea ends up with the belt after doing basically nothing because the other two, or one of them does, but it would probably be Paige Rhea that would get the belt, and then you can have her get beat by somebody, and she can get the rub later down the road. Now we got that belt off of Jade, and now we're doing something with it because it is a lackluster belt. At least if we had that floating around, we would get more women's matches because we would be able to develop more women's feuds. That's the problem. Like, there's not much storyline direction being given to that. With, like, if we're the outcasts, right, and we're pissed off, we're the guys from the other company and we're the rebels and all this shit, why are we just showing up to Dynamite? Wouldn't we be showing up to Dark Elevation and Rampage? Wouldn't we be showing up to everything and causing a fuss? Because that's what the NWO would do. If that's or DX would do, randomly show up in places, and it would be a surprise. It would make it must-watch TV. Nah, we know you're not going to be on anything else. You're just going to basically pop up once a week on Dynamite, and it's boring, and no one cares.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't say I disagree.
I will say one good thing, though, about something that's developing or will develop for AEW in the near future. And that's one young wrestler, Nick Wayne. Are you familiar?
Is this the young cat?
Yeah, it's the childhood prodigy. So
yeah, I listened to him on Talk is Jericho a month or two ago.
Yeah. So he is still currently 17 years old at time of recording.
Oh yeah, he is in high school.
He is in high school. He's trying to finish.
But he's signed.
But he has been signed. If you remember, he was the guy you might have seen on the Indies. There was an indie match between him and Darby Allin. And Darby Allin, after the match, basically came out and offered him. He was
in Seattle, right?
In Seattle, yeah, his hometown. He was and he was offered the AEW contract. The minute that you turn 18, you are allowed to wrestle, and you will be wrestling in AEW. Now,
by the time he's 25. He will beat Roman Reigns for the titles.
You're joking about this sort of thing, but this kid, by the time he's 25, will probably be on like an Omega level because this kid is just constantly improving. He's already had matches with, Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay, had nothing but great things to say. He's obviously had a match with Darby Allin, like I just talked about, and the one most recently was in Defy Wrestling. Defy Wrestling, occupies mostly
He's
Seattle.
Done a ton of stuff in Defy, like all up in that Pacific Northwest area.
Pacific Northwest area. Like, it's kind of a Pacific Northwest championship. And previously, the world champion of Defy Wrestling was one Swerve Strickland. We all love Swerve. Love Swerve. He's, I think we're both big fans.
I mean, except for the whole mogul affiliate thing.
Yeah. But in the ring, we both really like Swerve. Like, I really love Swerve's work inside the ring, and I think
great. He needs to stop having rappers with him.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot left. Like, there's a lot untouched potential within Swerve that is left.
Did you ever watch the
untapped
TV
potential?
Did you ever watch the TV show Dave on FX.
No.
I think it's on Hulu. It's Lil Dicky. Or that
No,
white
no,
rapper.
I couldn't get into that. I tried. No, I didn't like that show.
Okay.
I don't like him.
He's got his hype man, Gata, black dude.
That's Swerve.
Right, yeah, it reminds me of Swerve a lot.
Well, either way, Swerve was the Defy champion in the Northwest, Pacific Northwest, and he had a match with Nick Wayne, and he dropped the belt to Nick Wayne, and just over the weekend, and he basically said, next match we have is going to be when you're 18 in AEW, and it sounds like it's already kind of getting started, that we're going to get a Swerve Nick Wayne feud as Nick Wayne gets brought into the company. I believe it's either in June or July. It's like whenever his birthday
cool is that, man? I remember when I was graduating
Yeah, it's
high
what I
school,
wanted to talk about that for a second.
I was managing 2 smoothie shops, and I was about to manage my third.
Well, I mean, you're doing better than most.
And that was a big deal, but it's not getting to already having an AEW contract and, you know, wrestling on the indies, winning a championship, and knowing where you're going. Listening to him talk when I heard him on Talk is Jericho.
He's put together. He's pretty put together for his age.
Very well put together. I mean, obviously his history with his dad and everything like that got him into it, but the way he's living that legacy and the way he's bringing it to fruition and doing it right. And I just listened to him and lived vicariously through him talking on that podcast about, you know, I'd go to Japan, do this, or I want to be Vegas for the weekend.
I want to hang.
But then I would go back to school and be at school on Monday, you know, and people are like, oh, you wrestle for who? You know, but in circles, it's a big deal. And you do have billionaires who are signing contracts for you.
We're probably gonna have to break this show up into 2 halves, I think, because we haven't even talked about WWE yet. But do you have anything before we go to maybe a little bit of a break that you want to mention about AEW?
I feel like I've been talking shit on AEW, and
there's
any other podcast. I'm just being
things.
Critical.
Yeah,
just being critical of the state of things now. I will say this:
I do kind of still love like what they're doing behind the scenes with BTE and like the Bucks and Hangman, like and this.
But
like,
you gotta be.
But you gotta watch.
Viewer,
it's not on TV. You're not telling that story unless you watch the other shit, and that is a problem. That is a huge problem.
I think there's always the outlet, and there should be that deeper level, but they need to bring some of that storytelling to TV.
Yes, they should. Yes, they should.
Couple of things. How often are we having Battle of the Belts?
I mean,
it's like every couple of months.
It's
2
like
months, It's like whatever, but like
you know what happens on Battle of the Belt? You know what happens on Battle of the Belts? Nothing, because no one ever loses, and there's no storyline development ever.
So that's what I'm saying. It doesn't mean anything, and also, so it doesn't mean anything, and also, I don't know if they do this on other things, but if you're a Sling subscriber, it's like a different program because Rampage is the 1 hour.
Yeah.
So if you're recording, it's got to record separately, and if you don't set it up to record it separately in advance,
you're fucked.
You're gonna miss out on Battle of the Belts.
You missed it.
Fucking stupid on
I
them.
have not. I'll be honest with you. That's the reason I haven't watched it. Maybe you.
Dude, I watched Dynamite
and we're
Rampage.
really good about this stuff too. Because we share a Sling thing, and at the end of it, both of us missed it,
and then I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah,
I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
But guess what?
So,
nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Exactly. So I think it's okay. I think it's okay.
I did want to say, Matt Hardy said he hopes Jeff would be returning to AEW in 6 to 8 weeks. I say both of you go away. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean,
thoughts on that?
I don't even need Matt to go away. Just go and be on Dark and Rampage and help the young kids and maybe train behind the scenes.
I'm for that.
But I do not need a Hardy Boys reunion and or Jeff Hardy on my television screen.
Me neither. Not at all.
And I think, to be honest with you, it's interesting that Matt even said that, because I have a feeling that's not gonna happen. And I have a feeling that it would not be taken very well by the majority of AEW fans. I don't think that that's going to go over as well as maybe Matt or Jeff thinks it's going to go over. And I even think that TK might be smart enough to figure that one out too. That's too much of a liability to even risk the pop. I don't think
CM Punk back.
I think CM Punk is worth the risk.
Liability?
CM Punk is worth the risk. Jeff Hardy, not worth the risk. That's if
Hardy
I'm proven
right.
Sorry,
more than 2 times, which CM Punk is now twice. So
no, CM Punk's a draw. Jeff Hardy is not in the same way. Not in that
That's true. That makes complete
money
sense.
risk analysis here and all that. Like, no. Fuck that. Like Jeff Hardy, if I'm doing everything I can to buy him out of his contract as cheap as possible to get rid of his ass if I'm TK.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
That's the thing. I will also say real quick, last final thing. Julia Hart wrestled on Rampage this week. Her intro was cool by herself.
I think there's something there, man.
I think there is something there. And she's like 21. She's super young.
Super young.
But I like this gimmick, like with her in the ring. She is still fairly green, but she can do some movesets and such. And she had a fairly good match. I mean, it wasn't amazing or anything, but I think with her there is something there and it can be cultivated now that it's not the cheerleading thing, which I get because she was a cheerleader before that, whatever. But Anna Jay was back also. And like when I was watching the video package, she's like, because I've got, what did she say? She said, I've got a
big ass, or wait, no,
a big mouth and a badass, or badass.
Big mouth and a badass, or bad mouth and a big ass.
She said it like a fat ass or something. I was like, why are you talking about your ass? Like,
well, they made a T-shirt. I think they made a T-shirt of it.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they made a T-shirt of it, and like,
okay, that makes sense. I had no idea about the T-shirt. When I heard her say that, I was like, that's fucking weird.
I don't know. I kind of liked it. I was like, I don't know. I tell you what though, Julia Hart shows some real signs to me. I feel like
that's what I'm saying with this new gimmick with the House of Black thing, like, and the way she's like mouthing the lyrics to the song. I don't know what the song was, but like, it kind of works for the fact that she doesn't, like, she just has that like.
Well, that she's like in her own head,
brooding,
and she's like
attitude with House of Black, and then when she came out, it was, I don't know, it was a cooler intro.
I know that what's his face has been working with her, the Brody King. I know that he has been like really influential in kind of helping her to find, like, you know, just kind of
like
tailor the gimmick and work it out. He was the one that bought her the hat. Like, he was the one that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Brody King. They were, you know, trying to figure, and he was the one.
I did.
Like,
I think I sent you that picture. It was her, Julia Hart, and Brody King next to Santa Claus.
Yeah. Like, it was probably that same day. They were at the mall, and then they were trying to figure things out, and he's like, "Nah, this is the hat," and like I could just see it. It's almost like it's him like presenting like. If I were her, I'd be like, yes, it is. And
they're in like some like Western, like Alaskanish type shop. It's not like a Hot Topic or anything. Right. It's like a very like there's like pelts and furs and like rugs and shit around. And then there's this hat, and he's like, this hat.
This is the one.
Seemed out of place, but it was very in place for what was happening.
Absolutely. The one last thing I'll say before we go to break is, man, oh man, Kota Ibushi's been toying about saying some words on them Twitters about wanting to maybe wrestle in AEW. And wouldn't that be nice if we could get something even involved in that? And that's maybe they're telling something longer storyline than we even know. And we end up getting Golden Lovers type of reunion. Golden Lovers versus the Bucks. I mean, Golden Lovers versus FTR for the, there's Golden Lovers versus Hangman and someone, like,
Yeah.
there are things that we can do here that would be super cool if Kota Ibushi were to even just come over for like a year, right? And just do a couple of programs and kind of like, I feel that might be one of the missing pieces. Maybe that's part of the Don Callis story. Maybe that's part of what's all happening there. And Don Callis used to do commentary in New Japan, just if you didn't remember. And that might be like part of the stories going, forward. I don't know. There's something there because they're telling something with Callis for damn sure. And maybe it's going to be like a Callis-led stable against the Elite at some point or something like that.
Don Callis is going to fight Kenny Omega at Wembley Stadium.
That's it. That's the match.
That's the match.
But he's going to come out as the Jackal. Like, he's going to come out from the top, like, as the Jackal with the dot in his head.
Yep.
Kurgan will be there, even though I think Kurgan is dead. Kurgan will be there.
It's going to rise from.
A Saudi prince has bought enough money, spent enough money to find a Kurgan that's almost exactly the identical guy. That's what he's gonna do. Well, that's a great start to the episode. I think we nailed a lot of what's going on with AEW, Matthew.
Yeah, we talked a lot. Yeah, and I feel like maybe I was really negative, and I'm not being negative. I'm just being critical because it's, one, my opinion, and I'm allowed to have it, and two, I think this is a stage in wrestling where we should be very critical. And we're going to get into it in the next section when we talk more WWE stuff. And I do have my beef with what's going on there. And I have questions that I want to ask you.
And there's good and there's bad on both sides. And here's the deal. I think because for both of us, we have enjoyed AEW and been so enthralled with its like beginnings thus far, that when we see it sort of dipping and not being on to par as we need it to be, we judge it differently a little bit than we would WWE. Maybe, like we understand what sort of crap that's going to, throw our way here or there. With AEW, we're like, man, it's so new. Like, I was hoping you wouldn't throw me that type of crap. But,
Very true.
On occasion they do, and it just is what it is. Guys, we're going to take, you cool with like 10 minutes, buddy? Yeah. We'll take a quick 10-minute break if you were on Twitch. If you are listening on the podcast, you don't got to worry about it. What you got to do is just stick around because I'll edit the two together and all will be well for you. That being said, have some, here's a tune or something. Let me play a thing. We could do better than that. Let's get the energy right. Let's get the energy right here,
You know what I wish you could play? I wish you could play Io Sky's theme song, because that shit bangs.
Oh, that shit is a banger. It's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites. Either way, when we come back from this break, we will talk a little bit more wrestling, of course, and we will go deep diving into what is going on with the WWE. We'll talk a little bit about the draft. We'll talk a little bit about Backlash coming up. Maybe you should win King of the Ring or the Money in the Bank briefcase. My friend Matthew, my modern day Maharaja. Let's give him a little bit of woo and take a little bit of a pee or whatever we say around here. Woo!
personer som tar över. Jag är med sig kan man inte börja. Men personer som tar över. Jag är med sig kan man inte
Let's get it again. You know. Hey, hey. Oh, oh. Hey, hey. Do a dance, do it. Oh no. Do a oh no dance. Hit the dance. Let me see what's under the pants. Do an oh no dance. One to the left, one to the right. Gotta sit forward on it. You know. Do an oh no dance. Let me see what's in the bands. Do an oh no dance. Let me see what's in the bands. One to the left, one to the right. You gotta stick forward with every bit of might. You gotta do it oh no dance, baby. Oh no dance, baby. Do it no dance, baby. Do it no dance, baby. I won't do the left, I won't do the right. Gotta stick it all forward with every bit of my. Oh yeah. You ready to start the show? All right, cool. Let's go. Everybody, welcome back to the second segment of Oh No Wrestling for you for the week. We gotta squeeze in a long one because I tell you what, your boy's going off to Portugal. He's going, sailing around the 7 seas. Well, not 7, but I'm gonna go across the sea, and I'm gonna go
Going
over
to
to
the
the.
sea, yeah.
I am gonna go over to that Europe place they talk about over there. I'm gonna be traveling about, so I'm gonna be putting, my boy Matthew in charge here of all things, pretty much. Oh no, really. Yeah. But while we're talking about that, my name is Owen, Captain. Oh no, the Sharp Break Kid of this one, and I am with my good friend Matthew, the modern day Mataraja, still. And dude, I think we probably do need to talk a little bit about WWE because, again, a lot of controversy, a pretty big week. But I'll say not so much like that big on the wrestling, more just big on the speculation of things and in general. And I will say, is WWE. Is WWE like too storyline heavy? Because you had a very interesting question in one of your or points in your notes. You were saying that maybe some of these storylines need to be wrapped up in WWE, which kind of is the sort of opposite theory that we were having with AEW, which I think is very interesting to start place to start rather.
Yeah, I had mentioned that, Tripp said in the post-WrestleMania press conference something to the effect of, I'm not quoting him, although I did watch it live, but something to the effect of that, like, the story never ends, right? This is only the first chapter, right? Well, this first chapter has been going on for years. And you had the ability.
When you say that, do you specifically talk about the bloodline? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. So right there, I'm talking about bloodline exactly. But this does go into other storylines.
Okay.
Because all of this should have, in my mind, a lot of these things should have culminated at WrestleMania.
And didn't, obviously.
And did not.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
obviously, despite what Cody Rhodes may say on Raw, which he did last night when he so incorrectly called it WrestleMania Backlash.
Oh, so incorrectly, because they've changed that back to now just Backlash.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, and it should just be a Backlash, but it shouldn't be a continuing of all these stories. And so my beefs with like the bloodline and him saying that.
Real quick. Doesn't that make you laugh a little bit to how much he was probably watching the product before he was even on it? You know, like it's because that.
Yeah, you don't just slip up like that.
No.
Well, and I'll talk about another person who slipped up in a second, but it's a lot of these storylines I feel like could have been wrapped up. The bloodline, when Triple H was talking about that, but he did speak to WWE as a whole and said that the story never ends. And I think there are quite a few of them that should have ended. And I feel like, especially with a show like that, I don't understand why now we're in this limbo. So I'm going to quickly run through, and then I'd like for you to pick and choose, or we could break off. But a couple of ones that just come to mind really quickly are obviously the bloodline. Last Friday on SmackDown, you had Sami Zayn versus Jey Uso, which to me, if you're going to do that, that should be a pay-per-view fucking match. It should not be a Friday night.
I'm going to stop you for 2 seconds here. I think you're right for the most part, but when it comes to the bloodline, there are still like 3 more stories that can be told and need to be told for this thing to truly be wrapped up. I don't think this one is deserving of being ended yet. And I think that's also a big reason why it wasn't the right time to strap up Cody, because the story isn't over yet. I think there's so much more to do with Jay and Roman. I think there's so much more to do with Solo, and I mean, kind of a lot of people at this point. Like,
I don't disagree with you. I just feel like when I'm reading rumors that nothing's confirmed, but The Rock left a crack in the door for a possible WrestleMania. I'm like, why are we doing this again?
Well, that I have no interest in that. I'm over that. I think that would actually really water down the bloodline story at this
and what
point.
he's done. Yeah, I agree with you there.
It would sour it. It would kind of give it a negative connotation. So I'm at this point, if it wasn't going to be this WrestleMania and the build wasn't there for it, which clearly the Sami build for all of this and everything that they did in the Cody build was far superior than anything they could have done with The Rock. So if it wasn't going to be this one, I don't see the point in doing it next one. The ship has sailed. Like that
I agree.
It's like we were talking about on the previous segment with certain things with Bullet Club. There's a certain time frame. 2 years ago, that would have ruled. Now, not so much. We have moved on from thinking about that, because now there are plenty of more matches and feuds and sort of comeuppances that we want to see with Roman rather than The Rock.
That's true, but I'm also going to be very critical of what I'm seeing so far in the early stages of this, let's call it, quote, next chapter, according to Triple H, of the Bloodline saga, because, again, I'll go back to what I was just saying. Why did I have Sami Zayn and Jey Uso on SmackDown? That should have been built to Backlash if you were going to do that, because that is a big match for people to watch. Like, not just, that was a throwaway fucking match.
I would, and I agree with that. That is something that they have really dropped the ball on, like, because it is big enough to promote. It's big enough to, like, it shows you the lack of top guys that they can sell a TV show with, to be quite honest with you. It's that was probably more out of necessity rather than what they wanted to do. That's my opinion. Like, that's
not a bad opinion, actually. I hadn't thought about it that way. So, I mean, looking at it from that perspective, it's more agreeable. I still disagree with it, but it is much more agreeable, and I understand where that would be coming from. I agree with that. So let me throw you with another one then.
Cool.
Matt Riddle
Hmm.
is back.
Yes.
Didn't have his match with Miz. They kept
I
mentioning
feel like
on last night's
that's
Raw
got well.
because-
I feel like that's just gotten glossed over. Like nothing's.
well, it
gonna
has to because he's back, and
now
didn't
he's
he get put away because of the Usos? So like he's now coming back after
Yeah.
them. Like
he's
when
part
he went-
of
so-
this Usos
so-
bloodline feud with KO.
Yeah, well, yeah,
and
exactly.
Sami.
So we're talking storyline now.
Yeah.
So now we're obviously
It's
going to have a
stupid.
6-man tag.
It's
We're
stupid.
going to
I don't
have
like it.
Riddle and KO and Sami versus Usos and Solo.
I like Riddle as an in-ring performer. I think he might be a piece of shit. I'm willing to give him a chance if he's tried to make himself a better person. Everybody deserves a second chance. But at that same token, like I don't think he's a good fit for this particular feud. And
So
to be
that begs the question. Then this is what
Yeah.
I'm trying to ask is, what are the if like what we're saying is there's so many other
I got
parts
the
of this
fix.
bloodline
I
story.
I got the fix, but no one wants to hear it.
How,
Do you want to hear it?
yeah.
Solo Sikoa has to turn face, and he will align with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. That's how you do it. Simple.
It is interesting
It's
that you
fucking
haven't
simple.
seen like the bloodline together
It's simple.
on TV.
Why
since
would you
Mania.
split? First off, why would you split the Usos? Why would you split the bloodline? The bloodline can be together with the Usos and Roman Reigns without Sikoa. Sikoa can defect, and he can go to the other side. And yeah, he has been
Yeah.
mistreated this whole time. He's not been acknowledged, and he's the one that's been saving fucking everything and everyone. So maybe he has a heart, and he's been silent this whole time, and he turns. And now you've got Solo, Kevin, Sami versus the Usos and Roman at a pay-per-view. That's a
Does
big.
Riddle go after the Miz?
I see. That's what I would have. I mean, I don't. This isn't going to happen because we've got this Riddle thing in the mix, and we're probably going to get a Riddle solo program or a Riddle like Roman like thing,
Or like
again.
the 6-man tag, I think is just
Something-
what I'm saying.
yeah.
It's-
I'm not a fan of really much of this. All of it seems to just
Like
be filler, much like the Cody Brock program, to eventually get back to Cody and Roman, where Cody will win the next time. That's
am
what I
much
think is
more
gonna happen.
okay. I am so much more okay with the Cody Brock program.
I
then-
think
which-
Cody
which-
and Brock is
to be
gonna
honest-
rule. I think Cody
Yeah,
and
to be
Brock is
honest,
gonna rule.
And I've not been hot on Cody. I mean, I like him as I think he's a phenomenal wrestler and everything. But I remember a few podcasts ago where I was like, I think I figured out why I don't like or Cody. But now that he didn't get the title and it wasn't handed to him,
You're back on Cody's side.
no,
a little bit.
I'm not back. But I'm like, oh, you did gain a little bit more respect here.
Well, he
because you
does-
didn't- because you didn't get it, and we all know you can cut a hell of a promo. We all know you can go in the ring. We all know you're good at what the fuck you do, or else you wouldn't be where you're at. You wouldn't have been able to do what you wanted to do. But there is also that kind of like, he's like the Zach Morris of fucking wrestling, right? Like he
is.
can like show up, he can like break the fourth wall, stop time, do whatever the fuck it is. He's that dude. And so it makes me, I'm much more for that. I will tell you, I didn't know what was going on, not yesterday, which was the second Raw after Mania, but the first Raw after Mania. I popped so hard when Brock Lesnar came out, and I was like yelling at my screen beforehand where he was like, and if someone, when Roman was saying, but this person can't challenge for the title ever again. And I was like, it's Brock. I was almost texting you, but I didn't know if you watched, and I was fucking like yelling at my team. I was so stoked.
Yeah.
And Brock put him out so brutally. And then Cody's promo last night on Raw, where he said, Brock looks at everyone as a victim, right? And he runs through the list. And he's like, that person was a victim. That person was a victim. That person was a victim. And he's like, and you see me as your next victim. And people say, are you scared of Brock Lesnar? And he's like, yes, I am scared. That doesn't mean I'm not going to fight him. And he was like, and I'm going to get in that ring and I'm going to fight him and I'm going to prove to him I'm not the victim. Question now is for you.
They got a money match first off with that. Like Cody
100%.
versus Brock is a money fucking
It's a
match.
huge match. I got all the feels for that. That gives me night one of fucking Mania, like electricity in my veins.
Because
adrenaline
because we can
Brock
call
Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes.
Damn it, that's good. It seriously though, this will be one that we will be like, you know, I mean, Cody's got to win, but what? But Brock Lesnar and like we're going to be doing the same thing.
Look it for me.
Cody actually has to win this one, I think. Though.
He can't keep losing, right?
Yeah. Cody's got to win. Cody's got to win this one with Brock. Cody does have to win this one with Brock. But I love the program. I think it's a really
Does he do it clean?
No. I don't, because
So who helps him? He did, like, I think Cody's not going to ask for help. I mean, someone's going to help him.
Riddle.
Is it Riddle?
Riddle. Yeah. So Riddle will help him, and that will then probably set up a Riddle Lesnar program further down the line, which that works. That's because you're gonna kind of want, at that point you're just gonna want to see Riddle be destroyed. So, and he will be.
Yeah, and that's what Brock's just gonna do to people.
Yeah.
I will say this. I will always just hold in my heart the time we got with Cowboy Happy Brock. It's such a good.
To me, I feel like it's not completely gone. Like
it's not, but I don't know. I feel like I want to commission MJF's ex fiance to paint a picture, because she's a painter, right?
Yeah.
And she's done all these paintings of like happy Brock, happy Cowboy Brock. He's like holding a bale of wheat or something.
Oh no, you should do it with like him, but it's like me and you on either side, and like we're just like
and he's all
like, hey, me and Brock, like it's me and you, like like we're doing the hats,
pulling the hat off.
We're doing the Young Bucks like pose on both sides with our hats off.
He's just pulling the hat off.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
That would actually be a really. I want that now. But no, I am actually stoked about that. I'm curious to see, you know how Brock's like notorious for, like when he respects a worker, he will go the extra mile. He did it for Daniel Bryan. He's done it for people over the years, right? Where he's like, we're going to have a good match. Yeah. Didn't do it for Dean Ambrose, for instance, at the time, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I'm interested.
I think
see
he
what
did it
he
for
will.
Omos.
I think he absolutely, or he was paid enough to just do what they told him to do with Omos. But I'm interested to see what they will do, or he will do, with Cody. You know, and because it, or like that show of respect for.
I feel like Brock, as much as as different as they are, probably as human beings, like exact opposites in their day-to-day normal life, I think there's a level, like the highest level of respect between both of them.
Even if it's like on the businessman level, right? Like you're a businessman, you know how to work the industry. I respect you for that.
Like you went out, did it on your own, built all this up, and came back.
Just like Brock did. Just like Brock did. Brock was.
He wasn't handed anything.
Brock was incredible before he left for UFC. When he came back, that's when he became the beast. That's when he became a monster, right? So he became an attraction, and a double level attraction when he came back. And that's kind of what Cody Rhodes has done. So there are parallels there. They're interesting parallels, and I think it will be interesting to see what they do. I saw that you obviously mentioned that Logan Paul signed a new multi-year deal, and it reminded me of who I think is probably going to take the Money in the Bank briefcase this year. because it's gonna be him.
Good fucking call, because I actually was going to ask you about that, because I was going to bring up the fact that obviously Money in the Bank is in the UK. We did a lot of talk in the first segment about All In being at Wembley. You do have, are they the O2? Where are they? I don't remember.
They're not at Wembley, obviously, but yes, I they might be at the O2. I think the O2 is
Yeah.
probably right. Yeah, it's a big.
I mean, it's just off the top of my head. I'm
money
just guessing,
in the
so-
bank. I mean, let me look it up. I'll look it up.
But I was thinking about this earlier, and I was going to ask you, so I'm glad you said that. And that makes all the sense in the world.
It does, with his like
makes all the sense
podcast,
in the
his
world.
marketing, all that shit, to have that briefcase.
He can carry it
behind him.
everywhere. Yeah, he can put it on so many other platforms.
O2,
and I think that's
O2 Arena, by the way. You're
O2
absolutely
Arena.
right. Yep.
How much? What's the capacity of the O2 Arena?
O2. Give me
30?
2 seconds. Venue here. Pulled it up on Wikipedia. The capacity.
While you're doing that, I will say.
Oh wow, it's only 20,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's an easy sell.
Oh yeah. They'll sell that.
Easy.
Well, they already did.
I mean, I'm sure they already have.
No, they already did. They were
Yeah.
talking like those tickets are already gone for O2.
So
They could have easily done a way bigger, like a stadium. They probably, with Money in the Bank, they probably could have done Wembley. Honestly, like they probably could have got a lot more tickets than AEW's
Oh, I'm
All
sure.
In, but still, like, it is what it is. Like, this is business, baby.
well, it's business. Yeah, Tony
yeah,
Khan's
yeah.
shooting for the stars.
But
And
no, like-
and he's already got the in with Wembley because
Right.
the Jaguars, right? The Khan name and everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
So back to Logan Paul. So reportedly deal expires at Mania or right after Mania 41. So we got a couple of years with him, which we did talk about on the podcast after Mania. I remember saying, I won't speak for you, but I believe we were on the same page as to like, hey, you're really fucking good at what you do, but I've seen a Logan Paul match.
No,
So now
we said the
it's
same
time for you
thing.
to,
Yeah.
So now it's time for you to develop, and I think that a longer contract allows that. I would assume that Trips has put something in there that like you got to train with these people, like maybe not at the performance center, but have them come to you or you come to them, that sort of thing.
I forget who said
to-
it. I forget who said it, and it might just be complete dirt sheet trash. But what I have heard or is in my brain, and again, this is not fact, this is just what I have heard, is that Logan Paul has basically all of his matches constructed and rehearsed with Shawn Michaels, and they do it bit by bit, and they basically Macho Man his matches.
He's gonna Macho Man it. Where he's
They
at.
ma-
Move
ev-
87, brother.
Exactly.
Let's move 87. Let's move 96.
Choreographed to the T. I think that what we need to see now, and that might not be true, but what we need to see now is that guy start to learn in the ring. And funny enough, we've seen it with a recent superstar who we never thought we would like, who has got incredible heat and is just impressed, I think, myself and the wrestling world at large time and time again lately, and that's one Dom Mysterio. And Dom Mysterio, we're watching him really kind of suck in the beginning, but he's gotten incredible on the microphone, and he's gotten incredible in the ring, and he is, it's all obviously because of his counterparts with the Judgment Day that have got him to that point. But you need to get Logan Paul with a group of people that can help support him, get him in some tag matches, get him in some, get him watching, get him there every time, get him, because that's how you're going to get that guy to really, truly become the next big thing. He can be an attraction in these attraction Logan Paul matches, but until he gets there, I ain't buying it. Same?
100% agree. And I think, well, except for the Dom stuff, which I'll touch on.
Oh, you don't like that? Oh, come on, man. You know you love Dom. You know it. You know it. You hate,
I do.
Love to hate him.
I'll get to it. Hold on. So, Sorry, my dog's drinking water. If you can hear that.
Slap.
But so Logan Paul he did mention in the interview saying that with ESPN, I think that like creative had like pitched him, he was good with it, and that like he didn't think after he said that, he said he wouldn't have stayed with WWE if he didn't think he could win a title, which makes me believe that he and Trips had a conversation. There is a title somewhere before WrestleMania 41 or at WrestleMania 41. What title do you think
Logan Paul gets?
Yeah.
US.
I, off the top of my head, if you were saying
US.
sooner rather than later, I was saying Theory.
Yeah. I could actually like it. Here's a funny thing.
Because Theory with his like
hear me out.
camera and the selfies and all that shit would hate to lose to someone like Logan Paul who has all of that.
What's interesting is it works perfectly because they're Logan Paul has finally admitted he's better as a heel. And he works better as a heel. They are trying their best to turn Theory face. So if you have Logan Paul beat Austin Theory, it might be one of the only ways that you can turn Austin Theory face.
That's true. I think the only and also I will say,
and have him fight from underneath on Logan.
One of the only other ways to make Logan Paul super heel is to have him have a Death Force match.
A Death Force match?
Yeah. Do you not remember that he got canceled like whatever a few years ago because he went to the
Forest? I thought you said you said Force. Death Force. Of the Suicide
like
Force. Oh yeah.
Shit.
God.
He went to the Death Force in Japan and he did the video.
No. I don't think he touched that with a 10-foot pole.
No, I was gonna say if you want to make him super heel, I said bad yet funny joke.
But I do think you can make him like super obnoxious social media influencer.
Yes, and I think
guy.
we're seeing. Did you see the Photoshop?
And then you can have Theory like coming up from underneath. I think you can build a face Theory around a heel Logan Paul.
And get him a lot of fans traction outside of TV doing that.
Absolutely. That's a genius way. And they want to do it with that guy. So that's probably what they're going to do.
Did you see Logan Paul's post with his contract with Triple H? Did you see it?
Yeah. With the Prime and and Stephanie.
Yeah, but it was
Photoshopped.
But that was the first one. Then that was obviously Photoshopped. But then he posted it when he said he re-signed, and he Photoshopped Stephanie out.
She's clearly in a different jacket.
And then he put the color of it to yellow. And he put the color of yellow on the Prime, but it still says blue raspberry.
It's dumb. It's dumb shit, but I get what they're doing. It is a joke,
Well, but that's it. But to your point, that the reason I bring it up is because to your point,
we're talking about
the type
it.
of level that he can bring things on social media that you then bring Theory into, right, on social media, and then they talk about it on TV or whatever, and they have their matches. But it's
why the Money in the Bank would work with him.
I like what you said. It's how you get Theory to be a face.
Yeah, it's Money in the Bank would work, but I actually think it would be better to do a US title kind of run with him because he can have that belt and he can run around with it. If you're not doing Logan Paul with the Money in the Bank briefcase, who are you throwing in that direction then? I say you got to go. It's two for me. It's Sami Zayn or Seth Rollins. But then there's a third because I think if you did it with Jay, that would be cool too. If Jay, that would add tension to the bloodline.
I like that.
And then you've got Jay with it, and he's like, don't worry, Oos, I've got this, but I'm never going to use it on you.
Yeah. Or Solo.
But he can. And then maybe one day he does, and that's how Jay can become champion and fucking take it off Roman and main event Jay. That's something that they could play with really, really. I wouldn't do it with Solo.
I don't hate that.
But I love it with
Hate
Jay.
that. I actually kind of like that.
The tension you can bring with that.
That is a lot of tension.
Ooh.
Because he could hold it. If you wanted to keep shit
But I
on
got-
Roman for a
but
year,
no,
he can
but-
hold that briefcase for a year.
But he's like, no, he's like, no, Roman, I got it for you to defend the bloodline. So it's like basically no one could
He,
ever
like,
touch
lets
us
Roman
now.
or Paul Heyman
Yeah.
hold on to the briefcase. You could take it.
Wise man, you could hold. Yeah, he tell Roman actually.
you hold on to it.
Roman,
That doesn't mean that he
no,
can't
that's
cash it
what'll
in.
happen. That's what'll happen. Is Roman will tell Jay, well, if you think of it like that, let the wise man hold on to it. And Jay doesn't want to give it up, but reluctantly does to the wise man. And
months later, Roman's gonna be like, "Hey, where's that briefcase?"
And Paul Heyman's
like,
forgot.
"Wait,
What? And he's got it. And
Yeah.
there's something
I like that. Good booking. That's good booking.
That's good booking.
All right. So yeah, this is why we need to be helping wrestling booking, because we started the show talking about that. The wind was out of our sails, kind of. At least that's what it feels like for me post Mania.
How we get the
I
wind
don't know if
back
I've just been watching
in.
way too much wrestling, but I am still watching all the wrestling, and
It's just,
I don't know if I'm just being too critical or not. But like,
you've got to also understand that
I know it's the hypomania too.
Hypomania happens, and a lot.
Hypomania. That's great.
And they, I will say that right after that, I think bookers kind of use it as the start to the season. So but it hasn't been a great start to the season. That's what I will say.
Exactly. And so I think that goes into, and this is perfect. I'm so glad you said that, because it goes into what I was saying with AEW. We were talking about the storylines, but I think a lot of the storylines, when we started this segment off talking about it, in WWE, they're kind of just rolling over. And you mentioned Dom earlier, and that was one of the things I wanted to circle back to. And it feels really good to circle back. I'm doing it right now. But like this whole Dom and Rey thing, it hasn't evolved. Like, and that was another example of a storyline that finally like reached its climax. And I understand, yes, I understand the whole whatever we're doing, the Backlash in Puerto Rico, there could be this Badbunny thing, right? But
there will
if
be.
if I'm looking at it from a fucking storyline, you once again have gone past. It's like I'm watching a TV show and I'm going, they shouldn't be making more episodes. Why are they making more episodes?
Yeah, it's Walking Dead season 5 or whatever. When that one
the
fucking
the prime example of this is last night. Rey came out at the very beginning of Raw, which I made sure to watch as must-view fucking watching, was the very beginning of Raw, and Rey Mysterio comes out again, talks about the fucking Hall of Fame. I get it. Then fucking Dom comes out. Then Dom is cutting the exact same promo that he was leading up to leading up to WrestleMania, right? Like, he's saying, you're a deadbeat dad, this, that, and the other.
Same shit.
He's also, I wrote it down on this post-it note, tripping up on his words.
Let me hear it. Let me hear it.
He said, keep your name out of my mouth.
That's not what he meant to say.
I know, yeah. Stick my nose out of the Judgment Day's business.
Okay, that's a good one. That's it.
Yeah.
Stick your nose. Yeah.
So he's
keep
yes,
your
Dom
name.
has come a long way.
Keep your name out of my mouth.
Yeah.
What was the second one?
Keep your name out of my mouth and stick my nose out of the Judgment Day's business.
Stick my nose out of the Judgment Day's business. I love it. It's the best when people say like shit like that with conviction too. You know, like it's stick my nose.
And you can kind of see after he said it, he like kind of like
wait,
himself
what?
was like,
he's like, oh fuck,
shit.
I fucked
That
one
was
up.
bad.
It's like,
and I do it all the time. I'm not like
your dick, my face, your ass, my face. Wait, no,
exactly.
like it's, yeah.
And I get that shit happens. I blame it on fucking. I'm just like, oh, I don't know, OCD, and like I don't know, dyslexia, whatever. I don't know, but it happens. But I'm pinpointing that, and I did write it down to prove my point. Which, in my opinion, is that one, this is another version of a storyline that they missed the mark on. They too have kept it going. Dom was super hot, but now he's just going to keep doing the same thing for a while. Rey's doing the same thing.
Okay.
And he's not evolving whatsoever. Like, it should have been done.
Everything you're saying is completely correct. And if I was one of the writers backstage at WWE, I would look at that promo and see the mistakes he made and make it a meme. Make it a thing. Make it part of what Dom is. Because it will get him even more heat because he fucks things up all the time. He gets the phrases wrong. He gets the, like, and you can use wrestling phrases, right? Instead of that's the bottom line.
This is the one time I did say like 2 podcasts ago.
That's your bottom line. That's your bottom line because
no one needs to say what anymore. But
right.
It could be him fucking up, and then it'd just be like, what? Like on social media,
right?
Like it's like Rey cutting it. I would like that.
There's a way that you can play. If like honestly, there's a way that you can play into the current gimmick that he has with that sort of thing. If he's stumbling over his words, make him like can't fake it. Write it. You know, you've got to make him stumble. You've got to make him try and be genuine, but make him fuck up and fuck with him. And at the end of the day, what'll happen, people will hate him at first, but then they'll start to feel bad for him and it's going to turn him back face and everyone's going to love him. I'm going to tell you this right now. In a year, Dominic Mysterio is going to be a massive babyface. Massive.
Yeah, no,
massive babyface.
I would not disagree.
And he's gonna rule. And he's actually gonna rule.
I thought everything ruled up until post-Mania and that's where I'm at. And I'm living in the reality of right now, man. Let me bring you back to the reality of where we're at.
Here's what needs to happen.
Who would never hit his son, now is openly challenging his son and constantly wanting to kick his ass. Dom is still cutting the same promos about him being a fucking deadbeat dad. And now when Rey Mysterio was on Logan Paul's podcast today, he's talking about a mask versus hair match. When is this going to be done? Because these are like extra chapters. It's like is it an epilogue? It's like we don't need this.
Well, I'll give them some credit because at least they've added the LWO element into it, right? And now
Rey keeps losing since Mania. He's lost 2 matches, right. So the LWO doesn't seem to mean shit.
But that's how we can get Santos in. That's how we can get
he lost recently.
Yeah,
they don't seem very strong. They don't even have when they announced them and they all came out. They didn't even have new music.
See, that sucks. I didn't see that, but I need Santos Escobar if nothing else. The other 2 can kind of lose, but they need Santos Escobar to be like a big deal because he's the fucking shit.
He is.
I've been a big fan of his for a while. I've been one of the few that's been screaming his name.
He is really good, and I think they had something. I think they're kind of missing the mark.
Well, but you're gonna have to turn. This is what I was saying though.
The story's never over.
Right. The story's never over, but I do think that you can eventually get Dom face and basically be in the LWO, and that's probably what it needs to be.
I'll be excited then. The reality of the situation now is that I'm bored. That's, I guess, the point. But I agree with you. I like the way you booked that.
I don't mind the way the Backlash is shaking up. If we got Cody, Brock, if we got Sami, KO, Riddle versus the Usos in Solo, that'll be a banger of a match. It will still rule. Becky and Trish is probably happening.
All right, can we talk about this for a second?
Well, I don't like any of this stuff really, Nick. the damage control.
I don't like Liv and Raquel as a team. I don't care that they won.
Nope.
Also, when did it make it okay that like if you weren't someone who won the tag team titles, that you could just not wrestle and someone could be like, I'll wrestle in your place to lose the tag title?
I mean, it's kind of always been that way, really. I mean, think about how many times. Well, they were doing a freebird rule. They freebirded you. They freebirded me, but
they weren't. Trish Stratus was.
The New Day used to do it all the time, where sometimes it was Big
New
E.
Day, I'm okay with.
All right.
That's to be expected.
The Freebirds, I mean, from the Rule, like
I care about this as much as it looked like Becky Lynch cared about this on TV. She had she looked angry to be there, and I was angry to be watching. And that's I don't know what else to say about it except one, Raquel, stop doing the back thing. I'm not impressed. Two,
no, because you got to get muscles in your back.
I don't believe you guys.
You got to. Raquel's got a good back. She got no shoulders. You got to get like something up there, and then like look at Rhea Ripley. If she were to do that, she'd put you to fucking shame, Raquel.
Agreed.
I'm sorry, but like stop doing that when there's another. And Belair would put you to shame.
Yeah,
so stop doing that when there's like multiple people on your roster that can fucking put you to shame. It's not impressive. You're just kind of tall, and that should not be your gimmick.
I'm gonna be. This is not body shaming, but when she's in the ring with other wrestlers, she looks like a string bean.
She looks weird, dude. She looks like
she does. She looks out of place. And granted, a lot of the other women are smaller. She just haven't. Again, this is not like a body shame thing. It's just
looks weird. It just looks
weird. It's weird.
I'm with you.
Gumby. She looks like Gumby.
Oh my god.
That's it, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
Just like how when Corny, I sent this to you the other night, and I'm pulling a Corny. Sometimes Corny gets one right.
Yeah.
But Corny said one the other night. I had to send it to Matthew, and I'll say it to you guys, especially toward the end of the show. It's AEW comment, but he's talking about fucking Juice Robinson, and he says, Juice. What was the exact quote? Oh god damn it!
I'll pull it up. I got you.
It was because this one killed me. This one's hilarious because if you haven't noticed, Juice Robinson does look a little like goofy, like
he's had too much Botox and
he's like, I'm pretty sure he's got a crooked eye. Like he's got he almost has lizard
and
eye.
Way too tan.
Like he's got a face that's a little bit more undesirable. I would put it that way. He's got a.
I never noticed this when he had his whole pirate hat and because all that drew attention, the frilly cape or jacket, it all.
You look at his dumb face. He's got. Oh, sorry, that's what it is. He's just got a dumb face. He's got a dumb face. And
he does have a dumb face.
He has a dumb face. What was the? What did I say? What did I say? Oh,
I don't know. We
talked for a while.
A lot.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Describe Juice Robinson as looking like he's in the habit of chasing parked cars.
Described in the habit of chasing parked cars. I mean,
good.
He's pretty much saying he's slow looking. I think at
Yeah.
that point, but he does look. I'm sorry, Juice Robinson. So why did I get into that? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
well,
I'm sorry,
all right.
but I did.
I'll bring us back real quick.
What do we got?
Again, the Freebird rule for the women seemed weird.
Fine.
I hope Lita's just gone for a while. I guess this maybe leads to Trish Becky, like you were saying, at Backlash.
That's probably what's happening.
And what else do we got on that card?
Badbunny and Rey, I would assume, teaming up versus Dom and Priest. That feels like what the match.
All right, get Priest on my TV if you want me to get into that.
That will actually.
It's not bad on paper, but I want to care about it. So stop doing what you did last night with Dominic. And then why did you bring Finn Balor out to wrestle Rey? He has fucking 14 staples in his head. Give him the night off.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking Damian
Priest, what are you doing? Get over here.
He was doing nothing.
Yeah, exactly. But that match could be good, honestly, because we've seen cool stuff from Bad Bunny, though. It just a couple spots, and then Rey and Dom and Priest.
And then during that match, Damian does something to fuck over Dom, and it turns out Damian's been calling Rhea Ripley mommy, and fucking he's been daddy. And then Dom and Damian, and they break up the Judgment Day, but they have a big build, and then fucking I'd watch that. There's still a lot to save with Dom. Dom's a badass. Everything up till Mania and at Mania was awesome. I'm just saying.
He's killing it.
Do you remember when I was talking about this on the previous podcast? I was like, I'm over this storyline. Just get me to Mania. Then Mania, I was like,
it was badass.
You guys fucking did it. You did it. You fucking did it. All of that paid off.
But they did just kind of like restart it straight away again with the same story. And you're right. Like, it should have probably just ended there. It's just the fact, like, Puerto Rico's around the corner and they can make a lot of money if they just do it one more month. I feel like you give it one more month, then we can.
I'm sorry to keep bringing it up, but can't you tell it's just like weighing heavy?
Yeah, it's weighing heavy. I can tell. I can tell.
I'm angry.
I also think if given the time and they put this on pay-per-view, and if you really want to do a good Belair match and a good women's match, Belair with somebody you haven't really thrown in the main event yet, Belair and Io Sky or whatever, whatever the fuck. Yeah. Oh, dude, that tune is so good. If you haven't heard her,
so fucking boss.
It's hard. I remember I called it out. I called it out to you. I called it out
like a month or two because we were talking about. Remember, we were talking about who has bangers like Roman, and you mentioned, and I went back and Io Sky is, dude, that is the most banging of all tracks.
All of the new group that does all the WWE music, whatever they're called,
not CFOs, but
the new one, Def Rebel, is it? Def Rebel? It's something like that. It's something Def. It might be Def Rebel. I might be wrong.
I'll look it up.
But yeah, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But yeah, Belair and Io Sky, I feel like actually can be a really good match.
Io Sky, I am super hot on. Like, she's a good wrestler. Did you see
her?
You might not have watched last night.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal. I think this is an obvious Bianca Belair wins, but I feel like you can make a new star in this match if you give her like Io get those like 2.9 kickouts and like really give like a gutsy performance. Like, you can make something out of her in this. Like, this is a chance. If you don't fuck it up and you don't just do a squash match and you give them time, I think you can make Io into something with this, and that's what they should goddamn do, because she is incredibly talented. And if this is all that we have gotten from a little bit of this crappy, stable with the damage control, and if we can just get Io to this with that, then it's worth it. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I agree with that, because I want these success stories of people coming up to the main roster and it working and then being treated right.
She's one of the ones worth it. She's one of the ones worth the time. She's
very worth it.
Yeah.
I will say, who I thought, and who I thought about really got catapulted because of the storyline? Dude, Solo.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
He fucking main roster, like, huge. He got brought into something huge, man. Like, that's fucking...
If that storyline's not going on and he's in NXT, he's not getting called into the main roster that quick, is he?
No.
It's
not at all.
But he was doing, in fairness.
But he is good.
They built him up. They built him fast, and he already had some really great fundamentals, going on down in the, in NXT. And so they were able to mold him quickly, I think. He's a goddamn Samoan. It's in his goddamn blood. You know what I mean?
Blood.
Like it.
So let me ask you this: how excited are you for the announcement that Shinsuke Nakamura is coming back next week?
Let's give it one last go, and let's actually give it some love.
You think he's gotten like the surfing out of his system for a little while?
No.
He can go back to it.
No. It's once a surfer, like he's a smoker. He's like, he's gonna surf and smoke cigarettes the rest of his life and kick people.
Is it going to hinder his ability to perform his duties at the highest level in WWE?
I feel like he's gonna like be like, okay, I'll do it. Like, he's been always able to do it. He's just been
I
like,
know, but like, is he actually going to do it? And are they actually going to have a storyline? So what do they do story-wise? What do you think?
Story-wise, this is, man, I probably could do a whole like podcast on.
You should record the whole thing on the flight to Portugal.
Yeah,
just talking next to your wife and whoever's sitting next to you. Just talk the whole time.
Just talk the whole time. I'll be like, and I'll set up a board too, so I'm hitting buttons and sounds.
Yeah, just fantasy book Shinsuke Nakamura's return.
Well, okay, seriously though, what do you do with Shinsuke? It is tough because now it does seem like he's pretty relegated to the mid card, right? Like if I'm doing something right now, you know what I do? I'm gonna do something weird. I'm gonna start a feud with Shinsuke Nakamura and LA Knight. But in the end, LA Knight will win, but somehow they will be friends. LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura as a tag team fucking rules in my head, and I don't know why. Yeah. And that entrance with that guy, I mean, the two just most charismatic forces going at each other in the feud. There's money there.
All right, you know how they're gonna fuck that up?
They're
gonna put him with Rick Boogs.
They're gonna put him back with Boogs. You're right. That's what they're gonna do. You're right. You're right.
And he's gonna go after whoever wins King of the Ring because he wants that little crown.
Well, let's talk about that
again because you remember the crown. Shit. But I will say this also: LA Knight, poor LA Knight. The only time he's been on TV since, and maybe a little bit before Mania, was like he's doing that thing where they're playing like WWE 2K23. And he and what's his name? Why am I forgetting? Xavier. They like have their little thing about video games are stupid. They're not. And now I just saw an article earlier this morning. I didn't click on it, but the headline was about Xavier calling him out. So I don't know if that's in ring or if that's video game wise. But
okay,
I think that's what our good buddy.
Here's what they're doing.
And he deserves better. He deserves better.
I think they're going to do King of the Ring in Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
I wish they would do it as an actual tournament, like back in the old days, right? I wish they would treat the King of the Ring with the respect of an actual tournament. Yes, you got to make a couple guys work a couple times in a night, but that's what also makes it so exciting, because by the end, that dude's had 3 fucking matches and won.
Yep.
And that's brilliant, right? Like that's part of what made the King of the Ring the King of the Ring. They don't do that anymore. They'll do the match on Raw and the match on SmackDown, and then
it's all leading up, and then maybe they do the semifinals and finals on the event.
But they'll only
do not even that, probably.
Yeah, most of the time. And now it seems like this is becoming, because of King in Saudi Arabia and all that. King and the Queen of the Ring is going to take place, I believe, in Saudi Arabia. There. So yeah, exactly, right. But no, it's ridiculous. It sucks because at this point, at that point, whoever wins it doesn't really matter, because it's kind of like that belt that Brock Lesnar, or not Brock, but Braun Strowman won at the Greatest Royal Rumble, that big green belt, right? He won that belt that was never shown again, but he won a title, and that was that. The Saudi Arabian green
Shane
belt.
McMahon becoming the best in the world in Saudi, too.
Sure. Well, they put that on TV after the fact. So different. And I'm sure they kind of will with if whoever wins the King of the Ring. They'll do a crown thing. And it was great, because remember what, like, Xavier had brought it back properly. He brought it back properly. He won it back properly. Even though they didn't do a proper full tournament and pay-per-view, they treated it with some respect, and Xavier brought it back, and then Roman Reigns wore it for 5 seconds and smashed it on the ground like a jerk. But it was actually cool for those couple of weeks that Xavier had a crown, and a scepter and was going around as King Xavier. I say that you do something like that, but if you're doing it in Saudi Arabia as a pay-per-view, you gotta have a big attraction and somebody important win that. First off, if it wasn't, if it was back at home, I'd love to see King LA Knight. I think that'd be a perfect mid-card position for him to have a gimmick, to be on TV. Look, and I'm the king. I think you can do shit with that if it was, but that'll never happen in Saudi Arabia. He's not a big enough star. You need an Omos. You need a Bobby Lashley. You need a, you need a attraction type person.
They're going to put it on Bobby Lashley, aren't they?
Bob King Lashley
He's
in Saudi Arabia. He will look dope as fuck in a crown. He will. And they'll make a dude, you can do some cool shit, make it like a cool African crown and shit. Like you know what I mean? Like you could do some cool shit like that if you want. But
yeah.
I went into Vince's head. I'm sorry. I went into Vince's head and
yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like that's probably the sort of dumb shit they will do.
Yeah, because you do need a big name. I don't know.
Or you do it, Mustafa Ali, you could throw it on him. You could throw it on...
You're not putting it on him because he is...
He's a different... he's like Indian or whatever.
What has he been saying now? Positive
I love
Ali.
his... Yeah, Positive Ali. Yeah. Like, he's great right now. It's kind of believed.
He kind of bleached his hair, so it's like this orange, washed blonde.
Well, I don't think you can't do it on Mansoor anymore. You used to do it, everything for him over there, but now he's a maximum male model, so I don't think you can do that with him, So who do you go? You got to go big attraction.
Logan Paul?
Almost is going to be King of the Ring, dude.
I know.
It's going to be almost.
I didn't want to say it.
It's going to be almost.
You're right. I did think it quite a few times.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be almost. That's and King.
You know
almost,
what? He's going to look stupid in a cape.
He's going to look stupid, and it's going to be like a skinny version of Viscera, is what it's going to be, or King Mabel back in the day.
Yeah.
Sorry, but doesn't it remind you of the same thing?
Yeah, I don't care. You put anything over in Saudi Arabia, it's a throwaway show.
Yeah. So
you're not developing any storyline, so that leads me to believe that the king and queen of the ring don't necessarily mean shit.
Who do you go queen? Who's your queen?
I don't care.
You just give it to Queen Zelina. She was doing that gimmick anyway.
Yeah, she was for a while.
Just let her do that. She won the last one. She could be 2-time.
She's in the LWO, which is
give her 2-time queen. It's fine.
Yeah. What about what do they call? What's Mia Yim's other name? What do they call her?
Oh,
I'm so confused. I was watching last night. It was her and Piper Niven and Io Sky, and they're like,
why are you calling them all these stupid names?
And it's like her name is like means what is it?
Yeah, dude. I
you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna look it up in a second.
It fucks my I get.
But to my point, the commentary was like, well, it's Mia Yim, and then they were calling her this, and then they brought it up on commentary and said, well, this is her name, and it's like, well, it's also Mia Yim, and they couldn't agree.
They're like, oh, so what's her name? Like, what's
hold on, dude. It's let's see.
Meechin.
Yeah,
Meechin. So yeah, Meechin.
Yeah.
Meechin.
And they kept going back between Meechin and Mia Yim.
Just one word, Meechin.
Yeah, and it says that the graphic says Meechin when she comes out on the entrance, but then it says Mia Yim.
Yeah, but then it says Mia Yim. I think it's supposed to be Meechin Mia Yim. Like, does Meechin mean something?
The commentary's calling it Meechin and Mia Yim as separate things.
Yeah,
it's so confusing, man.
I think it's a lost in translation thing. What does Meechin mean? Like on its own. What does Meechin mean? Do we know that?
Yeah, we will find out.
Are you copy and pasting like I am?
Yeah.
All right. Let's find out what's this translation here? Like, if it's just a made-up word, it doesn't make sense. But if it meant, like, angry Mia Chin, or...
How do you spell it?
Michin.
Okay, I put en and it brought up German. Crazy.
Oh, so basically, yeah, it's them calling her Crazy Mia Yim.
Korean. Okay.
Korean. Okay, so they're calling her. It's a bad name for a single name. Like, you know how you could do.
Call her Michin Yin, or Yim.
Yeah, however you would do that.
That
Crazy
would be better
Yim.
than Michin Mia Yim.
Yeah. Like, if you're gonna insist on that, like, Michin thing, then, like, the crazy thing, then just do that. Yeah, that's way better. Michin Yim.
Or just call her Michin.
Or just whatever it is, figure it out. Guys, I think we've covered a lot today, you know. We've
covered quite a freaking bit, man.
I can't believe we got through all that. And I'm really happy we did, because unfortunately, this is going to be my last live show with you guys for about, close to a month. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be a while. We're going to have our good buddy Matthew here, my modern Mataraja. He's been handed the keys to the Ono Wrestling and Ono Radio Show world a little bit. And he will be hopefully helping provide you with some updates. And I'll be chiming in here or there. But I am going on a European vacation. And I will not be able to do this thing until probably, middle of May. So, I'm sorry about that. But that's why I wanted to do an extra long show for you guys this evening. And with you, Matthew. And I feel like I think we did a pretty good job.
We did a pretty good job. We covered a lot.
Covered a lot of our bases. It'll
be interesting to see the state of wrestling from where we're at today
to where I come back.
When you come back, and obviously you and I will, text or chat and everything, but we won't have these deep conversations that we have on air or off air about wrestling and really just digging into things.
By this point, in a month, I think we're going to be talking about how CM Punk started an oil spill or something. Like, I'm
still going to be angry that Rey Mysterio and Dominic is still going on.
You're still going to be mad about that. Vince McMahon will have dyed his hair blonde by this point now.
And his mustache is no longer thin; it's thick like a Ted Turner mustache.
He's done the thing. He's done the thing where he shaves the middle out and just has the sides like as what really creepy metal bassists do. Like, they just have like the sides over their lips.
Oh yeah, they don't have the
they don't have the middle. He's gonna go away with that. And believe it or not, Shane McMahon dead.
Yeah. You try. Yeah.
These are my predictions for a month from now. These are give me a month predictions here.
All right. Well, we'll see which ones come true.
See, just gotta throw a few out there.
Are there any pay-per-views while you're gone?
I'm sure there's a ton. I don't know. Fucking God.
So you just get to take the championship over to fucking Portugal and not defend?
Well, that's what we do. I mean, that's,
when I was on the road, I was out there kissing babies, trying my best to get back to the hotel,
We'll see. I mean, I might touch base about it if there's a pay-per-view. When is I seriously don't know.
I don't really know.
I guess Backlash should be the next pay-per-view. So.
I don't think you're gonna. When's that?
I don't know.
May. That's May.
So, that's probably what we're looking at. That being said, we thank you for listening. If you're a fan of this sort of thing and our wrestling podcast, I actually am going to try with Matthew to do like a little bit of a few updates as I'm on vacation, as I'm traveling. If anything comes up, you better know I'm going to find a way to talk about it. We love you. We thank you for your support. Patreon.com/ONRS. If you ever want to donate a couple of extra bucks, it really, really helps us. And more than anything, just join our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/OhNoWrestling. 407-906-6466 if you ever want to leave a voicemail. And of course, Matthew, what do we say when we leave these people behind? Woo!